Hello and welcome to Pirkei Avos. We're on chapter 1, Mishnah 5. Yosei ben Yochanan, Ish Yerushalayim Omer. Yeheveischa pasuach lervacha. Your house should be open widely. V'yoanim b'nei veisecha. And poor people should be members of your household. Should be in your house. V'al tarba sicha im ha'isha. Do not have a lot of talk. Don't talk excessively with women. Obviously, it's talking to men here. And what the connection is between the beginning of the Mishnah and the end of the Mishnah, we'll have to see. Not really sure. If anyone has any ideas, please let me know. The Ishto Amru, it was said about your wife, all the more so about your friend's wife. So you're not supposed to have excessive talking with your wife, all the more so about somebody else's wife. And we'll discuss, we're not going to get to this part of the Mishnah today, we'll do that next time. We'll talk about the first Mishnah today. But from here the sages say, all time that a person has a lot of conversation with women, when he causes evil to befall himself, and he neglects Torah study, the Sofo Yorish Gehenim, in the end he is going to inherit Gehenim. So we'll get to that part of the Mishnah next time. This time, let's learn the first part of the Mishnah, that your house should be open and you should have poor people in your house. So Rabeinu Yonah says, Yeshaimer. So there are those that say, Sheimtzu beveso harvacha b'nei adam hatzrichen. So he has two ways to interpret this Mishnah. The first way is that you should always have a lot of people in your house, people that need it. Right? Very often there are a lot of people, they don't have, especially for Shabbos meals or holiday meals, they don't have anywhere to go. So your house should be open to people that need it, especially singles. Single people very often don't have anywhere to go for the holiday meals, very difficult for people, and the Shabbos meals. So your house should be open for people like that need it. That's one way to explain the Mishnah. O Perusho, or another way, Shiaveso Kebeis Avram Avinu. Your house should be like Avram's house, Alav Shalom. How so? Shahayadar b'derech b'makom revacha. He lived in a common thoroughfare in an open place. That the people who were traveling could rest there. So he purposely lived in a place, Avraham, where people would have the opportunity to stay with him. And his house was open from four sides. In any way that people came, there would be an opening for them. Like Eov said, my doors for guests shall be open. So there are two ways to interpret this Mishnah. Either you should, really it's the same thing, that either way you have people in your house. You should have guests. It's a big mitzvah, hachnasas orchim. I once heard a story that there was, I think it was Rav Yisrael, I think it was with Rav Weintraub, who lived next to Rav Chaim Kanievsky, and he had a chavrusa with Rav Chaim Kanievsky, and someone told me they went to his house to visit him, and he stayed with him in his house, and he said, I have a chavrusa with Rav Chaim Kanievsky right now, but we see that Avraham tended to his guests, and that was more important than speaking with Hashem and being with the Shekhinah, being with the divine presence. So he said, so I'm gonna forego my chavrusa with Rav Chaim Kanievsky to be with you. It was something like that. I'm sure I didn't get it totally correct, but it was something to that effect. The idea is that having guests is such an important mitzvah that Avram Avinu left the divine presence to do it. Okay. And there's a lot of people that need it. People are very shy, and they don't always want to say that they need to be invited, so it's always good to invite people over and things like that. But we're saying that there's two ways that Rabeinu Yonah interprets the Mishnah. The first way is that you should have a lot of people that need it in your house. The other place is you should position your house in a way where guests could come, but it's really the same idea. Okay, and the end of the first part of the Mishnah, V'hi'aniyim b'nei veisecha, and poor people should be in your household. Hu nidrish l'shnei panim. You can learn it in two ways. B'makom shekona avadim b'farnasam, yishtamish b'aniyim b'farnasam. Let's say back in the day, right? People had slaves, had servants, indentured servants, where you would basically buy somebody and he would work for you, and you would be responsible to support him. So he says, instead of doing that, what the Mishnah means to say, instead of doing that, which costs a lot of money, right? Buying somebody and providing for his needs, because the slave doesn't have to get himself a place to sleep and food. You've got to do that. So instead of doing that, you should hire poor people and pay them, right? Instead of buying a slave and having to support him in every which way, hire poor people, because you're helping poor people. You get your needs met, and you're doing a mitzvah by helping poor people that need a job. You won't have to buy a slave. So you're doing two things. One, this is good economic advice. Instead of hiring a slave, instead of buying a slave, you should hire poor people. And in addition, it's a mitzvah. There's no mitzvah to buy a slave, but there's a mitzvah to help poor people, give a poor person work. Also, the Mishnah means to say that you should have poor people in your house, and they shouldn't be embarrassed to be there. That you should be happy that they're with you, and give them everything they need. Just like a person would give to his child and his household, so too he should treat poor people in the same way. You should have poor people in your house and give them what they need and be happy about it. We mentioned before that it's one thing to give tzedakah to someone, it's a great mitzvah, but when you give someone charity and you do it and they can tell you're doing it begrudgingly and they're embarrassed, they're embarrassed because you don't look so happy to be giving them charity. You look like it's a burden on you. The Mishnah here is telling us not to do that. Rabeinu Yonah is saying it's important to be happy when we do mitzvahs to help poor people, and they should be in our houses, that we can help them, and we should be happy about it. They shouldn't feel, sometimes you could be a guest at someone's house and you're a burden on them. That isn't the way, that we should be acting. Okay, so that was the first part of the Mishnah. The second part of the Mishnah, which we'll discuss next time, is about not having a lot of discussions, not talking excessively with women, and we'll see what that is based on and why. And God willing, we'll do that next time. Wishing everyone a great day.